Hi everybody, in this last video for chapter 3 we're going to look at how to search for the contents of a file and also how to edit files. But this takes a lot of practice, so not until you get to the lab will you really have a good understanding of how to do this. So to begin, searching for text within a file. This is something that we're going to use different commands for that are built into Linux. We have Grep is the most common tool that we're going to look at today. And then there's things like awk and sed and editors like vi and emacs. And then different languages like C++ and Perl that you can use within a Linux environment. So grep is what we use to search for regular expressions. And there are a bunch of wildcards that you can do with grep. Wildcards are things like, well, we looked at meta-character wildcards in the last section, where you can use like an asterisk or a question mark, and that allows us to match up certain things. So here is a list of some of the things that you can do with grep to search for. So look at this page 104 of your textbook. If you use like grep and then a question mark, it'll match 0 or 1 of the different occurrences that you're searching for. So like letter question mark, it will replace that question mark with whatever character you're searching for. So it's searching for inside of a file, not like the last time when we used the find command or looking for like using ls to search for different wildcards. What grep is doing is looking into the contents of a file. So it's a little bit different than what we looked at earlier. So we have, let me show you a couple examples. In my file that I have, project 4, we can use grep to search for a string from the command line. So say I want to look for anytime we have the word we in project 4. I could grep that, and those letters and the lines that have those would then be returned to me by just searching for that string. So in the book it shows us an example when we search for Algonquin Park, project 4. Now you'll notice that this returns nothing, and the reason for that is because it's case sensitive. So Algonquin Park up here is a capital A. I'm going to hit my up arrow to just change that. And also the P is capital too. So if I change that, to capital P and a capital A, then you're going to get results back. And again, as we learn from Linux, things inside of a file names, everything is case sensitive. Now you can use a -i, and guess what that stands for? Ignore case. So if you do grep -i, it will won't matter if you do upper or lower case, which is I guess what I should have done on the first time. So you'll be practicing, when you do your project, you'll be practicing different interpretations of grep using some of these wildcard characters. And there's some examples in the hands-on part. It walks you right through it. We'll use grep later on in the semester as well, so we'll get lots of practice with it. All right, the next section, this is the fun section, how to use vi. Vi is how you pronounce it. Don't pronounce it vi, because that will show your Linux inexperience. So it's pronounced vi. And what it is the major text editor that you have to know how to use in Linux. There are other editors like Emacs and another more common one, but vi is probably the most powerful one and the one that we're going to learn in this class, and like I said, the one that you'll be expected to know how to operate if you say you know Linux. So first of all, there's three modes. Well, there's two modes of VI, and then there's an additional mode. So I usually say there are three modes because um, we have a command mode of VI, and then we have an insert mode, and then we have a last line mode, also called the X mode. And when we first go into VI, the mode we're put in is the command mode. And here in command mode, we can run different commands like cut, paste, which is yank or put, save or exit. Those are commands. Insert mode is how you enter text into VI. And to get into insert mode, you hit the lowercase I character. There are some variations, like you could hit the O to open up a new line, but normally you just hit the I and it will take you into insert mode. And then last line mode, so you have to get to last line mode from command mode. And to get to command mode, you're placed there first, but say you hit I to go into it. To get back out of it, you have to do escape. And when you hit escape, you're in command mode. So to get to last line mode, you have to first go into command mode. So first do escape, and then type a colon, and that will put you to the last line, or the X mode, the last line of the editor, and you can type commands from there. So last line or X mode are very similar to the command mode. And then insert mode is how you enter in text. So VI, there's a new improved version called VIM that you might see as well. So if you start VI and it says Vim, it's the same thing. It's all good. Now, if you haven't updated your file or your operating system yet, make sure you do yum update so that it runs through and gets the most current version of everything. And then you're good to go. So in the book, page 108, you'll see these common things you can do from insert mode. I changes to insert mode and allows you to start entering text. The A and the O and the capital IAO also go to also change you from to insert mode, and just places the cursor at different places. Pick one that you want to use. Most of the time, I is the most common. Here is the last line mode that it shows here. When you see like a colon W file name or a colon Q exclamation point, those mean different commands, but those are all done from the last line mode. So we know how to get to that. You hit escape colon. And then here's a list of some combinations you can do in command mode. So you can do like delete a whole line, delete a word, copy is the Y command, P is for the paste command. Some other commands you can use at last line. Q exclamation is quit without saving. WQ is to save and quit. W just saves it. So there's a whole list of commands that you're going to practice using. Now, and I think that really breaks down the whole VI editor. But let's give it a whirl real quick because there's really a lot more to it than what the book shows us, and it takes a lot of practice. So let's log into your system real quick. And let's create a file. So first of all, let's go over to our root home directory. So when you go to a terminal, if this says root at localhost and then a $, you're logged in. I'm sorry, then a £, you're logged in as root. If you don't know who you are, type who am I? I'm user 1, and I want to be root because my homework assignments, when I get to them, it says log into your terminal using the username root. Same there, same there. Same here. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So I need to go over to root. So I logged into my account as user 1, but I can super user over to the root account. So just type su space root and then hit enter and then put in the password for root. Now you'll see that I am root at localhost user 1. This user 1 means that's where I currently am, and I want to be in root's home directory. So I'm going to do cd and then space tilde, which is the little squiggly. It's on the left-hand side of the keyboard up at the top, and hit enter. And that takes me to pwd. It takes me to the root home directory. So bam, that's exactly where I want to be. Now I'm going to create a file called practice1, clear my screen, and this is the first V. We're going to do that using VI. So do VI space practice1, and it's a text file, so I'm going to name it .txt. Hit enter, and it opens up this window. And if you're on the regular terminal, a black screen, it's just a black screen, and that's all that I see here too. Here it says practice1.txt. It's a new file, and then I have a bunch of tildes, which mean that's the end of the file. So if I start trying to type something, nothing happens until I hit the insert key, hit the I. So I just hit the lowercase I, and I can start typing something that I want to say. Hello, and I hit enter to go to the next line. Welcome to my first file. Well, it's a text file, an ASCII file, using VI to create it. So type I to go to insert mode, escape key to go to command mode, and hit enter just to go down. Now your mouse does you no good. You can't use a mouse in VI terminal or in the terminal at all. So just throw away your mouse. But if I want to go up here and change something, I'm using my arrow keys right now, and I can go to that line and delete something, like if I wanted to delete that word text like I just did. Or if I want to add a bunch of spaces in there like that, I can do. Now, there are other shortcuts that you can do from that command line. Like if I want to delete this word first, I can do escape and then DD. Oops, DD deletes a line. Didn't want to do that. So let's see, I could go to my tools or my commands and see what I could do to undo that. That might be probably what I want to do. Let's see, DW is what I wanted to do. That will delete a word. DD deletes the whole line, which is exactly what I did. And those can be done from command line. Let's see, undoes, the last function is a U. So that I would want to go from command line, not from insert mode. Because if I'm in insert mode and I hit a U, it's just going to put a U to the screen. But I'm from command mode and then I hit a U, and it undoes everything that I just did. Now I did everything. I deleted everything because I went back too far. Repeats the last function, period. N. Okay. So I undid a little bit too far, and I don't think that I can repeat that. So I'm just going to go back to insert and add my lines again. See what I mean? It takes a lot of practice. Well, it's a VI. It's a file using VI. These tables and knowing how to do this, it just you'll get practice with your homework, and then we use VI all the time in this class. I goes to insert again. Escape goes to command mode. And then if you do escape and then hit the colon, it will take you to the last line mode. Now, let's look at exiting, or let's look at saving this file first. Saving the file. I want to do this. I can do it from last line mode or escape mode, or I'm sorry, command mode. So I'm going to hit escape and then a colon, and you'll notice this pops up at the bottom of my screen, and I can do W and hit enter. W, hit enter right here. It'll save it. If it already has a file name attached to it, then that's perfect. I just hit W. If for some reason you want to do, like, it was called practice 1, but if I want to call it, if I want to give it a file name like practice 2, then I could replace that file name, and that now my file becomes practice 2. So anytime you want to do last line, escape, colon. Here's a list of, on page 110, there's a list of the things you can do from last line. Q, and Q quits the file. And then if I want to just go back in, I just do vi practice 2.txt because I renamed it. If I type a bunch of things and I don't want to save it, I could do Q exclamation point, and then it will exit without saving. And then there's a couple things you can do, like set line numbers and so on. So just read through those. From command mode, is there a table here? We can do things like save our file using ZZ. They don't give us a whole lot of this. These are other editors that we're not going to use. But another common way to save our files is you can hit escape from command mode and then do Shift ZZ, and that will save and exit your file. So VI is like Notepad, but even worse than Notepad. It's just an editor that we use to edit our files. I'm going to do an ls, and you'll notice now I have practice1.txt, so I could cat that. And whoops, I forgot my 1 in there. So it says that. And then I could cat practice2. It's a different file, so it should have, actually it's the same information, but it could have, it's just a copy of practice1. Or if, again, viewing is cat, if I just want to edit that file, practice1.txt, I'm going to open it up in VI and start typing things in there. So from command mode, you can type ZZ to save and exit VI. Or, so here's a couple tricks. Tricks to save. Or from last line, X mode. So to get to that, you do escape and then a colon. Then you can type W and then hit enter. So it would look like W. And this here, let's do it this way. This will save. Or you could do, let's see, last line, and keep VI open. Or you could do W and then new file name. And this will kind of create a copy. Or rename the file from VI, and it'll save it open. Or another common one from last line, WQ. And that will save it. Save and quit VI. So that's the same as ZZ, but you do ZZ from command line. The other ones are from last line to save it. So those are the basics you need to know for VI. Again, I'm going to save mine. So I'll do escape :WQ and clear. Now you can put files anywhere that you want. Usually you put them in your home directory. If you're user 1 has their own home directory. So make sure when you're doing your homework you look at who you're logging in as. And then you just open up, if you're creating a new file, like VI test grades, I could then create a file if I wanted to, type in something. That I needed to do. Whoops, that's a $sign. And I hit I to get into that mode, and then I want to hit escape so I can save and exit. So I can do :WQ, and that saves my file. If I want to then cat it to see what's in there, I could do cat test grades. So that's the shortcut in the short form of VI. You'll get lots of practice with your homework. Thanks. Oh, wrong button. Let's go over here.